Welcome, everyone. We have our target discussion tonight, remote viewing practice session. I'm Teresa Frisch, and we have a group of remote viewers here willing to share their session so that we can all learn. And our target tonight is the atomium, which was a structure built in Brussels in 1958 for the World Expo. And I know you can't see the feedback. You'll be able to in just a moment because I'm going to switch my computer over so you can see my desktop. Lynn Buchanan was with us briefly, but he's having computer problems again this week. We don't understand why his audio is not working. He can hear us, but when he tries to speak, it's very garbled and technical sounding. And he's not a robot, believe me. So he's signing out, and we'll be back, no doubt, knowing him. And hopefully we'll be able to hear him when he comes back, because he always has much good teaching for us. Lots of methodologies here represented. So with everyone turning in sessions for review, Lynn's a very good resource. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop. And pull you all back up so I can see who's here. That helps me. And also, I can see you here on the list, which you should be able to see my desktop. And those of you who have mics, you know that we will review your session and you'll be able to share with us at that time. If you want to text, I'm bringing up the text window so you can type in any questions and comments. So here is our target. This is a huge structure. You can see there's a gentleman standing here at the base of it, so you get some idea of perspective, and he's not even up close. The front here that looks like supports, these are actually stairwells going up into each of these chambers, which have windows. And this was a very visionary project back in 1958. It embodied universality and its cultural programming and said, what kind of future do we want for tomorrow? What does happiness depend on? So there was a lot of thought went into this in both construction and concept. According to this, it's a totally crazy, fantastical, almost sci-fi building which defies the imagination and lets your emotions run wild. 9 spheres, 5 of which you can go into, and 20 tubes to wander through until you lose all your bearings, until you arrive at the unique panoramic view of the whole city of Brussels. It's also a dream, a utopia, which took root in the mind of one engineer and 2 architects. And I don't want to butcher their names. It looks like Andre and Jean Pollock and Andre Waterkane. Apologies if I did say those incorrectly. This dream is itself the product of its era. Humanity aspired to a better future, characterized by harmony, progress, and peace. It was in Brussels, then the young capital of Europe, in its infancy, because the Treaty of Rome was signed in 1957, that nations came together to celebrate the dawn of tomorrow's world. My greatest desire is that Brussels, which has now rightfully earned its status of an international city, starts to dare once again to dream, to set the trend, just like it did during the Expo in '58. My second priority is, and that's the person from the website for this structure, the second priority is to see Brussels host another new World Fair soon. These events are part of the interactions which are extraordinary as they are necessary, which humanity so dearly needs to join forces in reflecting our shared future, strive to mend or create new relationships based on exchanges and collaboration between nations. Dare to dream of a better future on a human scale. This is the atomium's philosophy, one that I defend to this day, which I urge you to share. And that was from Henry Simons, the director of the atomium. And they have a temporary exhibition going on now called Wow is Now, at least that 2013-14. And there are 7 levels, make that 8, and one of them has a restaurant, and there are observation decks. And let me see, it said here, this spirit was at the heart of the event in 58, and they want to re-explore human creativity by investigating in a multifaceted approach the concept of innovation now. So what is innovation? Who innovates? Where, when, and how? Wow is Now will tackle these questions playfully and interactively. So all of you may have picked up on both the ambiance of 2013 and 2014, as well as if you described this structure, then you would have been describing it in time in 1958. So just some facts. The atomium representing an iron crystal magnified 165 billion times corresponds to a cube centered on one of its points. The whole thing is made up of 9 spheres, one at each of the 8 points and one in the middle, connected by 20 tubes. And you have, for those of you who are able to pick up on dimensionals and were practicing your P6 tools, you got those degree marks and diagonals. The structure rests on 3 pillars or bipods, and it might make you feel a little dizzy, so some of you might have picked up on that. Check out the staggering 360-degree picture taken, which was one of the photos on the site. The total height is 102 meters. Diameter of the spheres, 18 meters. Diameter of the tubes, 30 meters and must be 30 centimeters. Length of the tube edges, 29 meters. Length of diagonal tubes, 23. Diameter of the base pavilion, 26. And total mass in 1958 was 2,400 tons. And I don't think that's the same as tons as we use it here. Lynn, I'm sure, is going to have something to say. I hope he can talk. 3 floors, a base sphere, levels 1 and 2, panorama level 7, and restaurant level 8. And from a height of 92 meters is where you can start to take the panoramic view. And it says you can see Antwerp's cathedral and its port in clear weather. So that is our target. And I did grab one YouTube. You can see, but you won't be able to hear. And it's a tour. I didn't know, actually I haven't viewed it, so I thought maybe I would just skim these slides. I wanted to be able to show you, there's a close-up of all the little metallic triangles that are the assembly of this. And Lynn and I had a website up last night that had close-up pictures. You can see the observation windows, the stairwells. If you get really close, you can see rivets. And the giant tubes. Here are the stairwells. And a view of the city. Sorry about the spam. It was one of the tubes, I think, coming up. So you can see what it's like on the inside. So there, for the most part, is your feedback, and you can go back and review frame by frame if for some reason you want to check out your perceptions better. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to be stuck with that. There, made that go away. Okay. Let me grab some sessions in no particular order. Does anybody need to leave early? How about you, Richie? Well, since you are awake way over yonder, thanks for joining us. I know it's the middle of the night for you. And let's get this up side by side. And Richie's using PRV. I see he's not had any previews of coming attractions. And Richie is an advanced operational viewer, so he has multiple gestalts in his ideogram and goes down through the IAB sequence and starts working them in phase 2. For you newer folks, you'll notice here in phase 2, he's labeled them land 1 and man-made 1. So he has multiple gestalts of the same gestalt. So that's how he's differentiating as he is working them. And he thinks the place is ginormous. Cool. And then his P3 sketch, he gets into P3 fairly quickly. And then he'll notice his style is to sketch and then label his sketch or number areas of his sketch and then come down and probe each of those numbered areas for greater detail and describing the perceptions that are there. And I do have a type summary for him, which I'll bring up here in a second. So I'm not going to read each of these perceptions because he's probably included him in his type summary. But you notice he's got this stacked effect going on here. 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 is white, motion, a flurry of activity. Strong person mentally, tile-like, black-white, clean, bright, glass-like, spot on there. Then we have more areas. He's moved to a different area in multiple colors. It's quiet there. Dark, confined, precise, more glass-like. And then area 5 is brown, wire-like, and it's like leather-like. So he's moving around, checking out different areas. And he's, as I can explain, every time you move at a target and are describing different areas, you should note for whoever's following you and looking at your transcript that you've moved. But now in Richie's case, I know that every time he's got a different number on here, he has moved. That's he doesn't have to give me a move command to tell me that he's moved, to tell me that he's looking at perceptions for that particular area. And then, let's see, triangular-like. That thing is made up of I don't know how many bazillion little triangles. If those of you, Lynn is typing in. He also took a 1.5-hour break and came right back to the target. It's important to know that you can do that. So, see right here, he took a break and then resumed. For you folks who are a little newer, when you resume, if you need to take coordinates again in P1 just to get site contact, if you do that, you don't have to run everything through phase 2 and your AI and stuff all over again. Usually when you break and resume, you go right back to where you were in session. But like I said, if you need to get site contact again, go ahead and take your coordinates, because you can do that anytime in the session if you think you kind of lost site contact or for whatever reason you feel the need to do that, because you're the viewer and you're in charge of your session. And Lynn, you have a mic. I'm showing that you have a mic that you just don't have it turned on. I turned it on for you. I was afraid to touch them anymore.
Oh, there it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I turned it on for you, but you have the ability to turn it on from your end.
No.
I've never seen it, so I don't know where to tell you to look for the button.
I didn't have until just now.
I turned it on. It
Am
was
I
always
speaking again like a Martian?
No, we can. I don't know what you did. What did you do?
I used IE instead of the other one.
Oh, well then. All right, you don't sound like a Martian anymore. Good, because I've had conversations with so many. I know what they sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound great. You sound like Lynn Buchanan.
Is that an improvement or not?
Yeah, in my species, it's definitely an improvement. Actually, I wouldn't know what a Martian sounded like to save me. And there are people who believe me. No, hello, for the camera, I have never spoken to a Martian in my life that I am aware of. Because there will be people out there who will be going, good God. Okay, so we will go to, we've got an interim summary. So in the middle of his working his sketch for more perceptions, he stops and puts out an interim summary. So that's good. Some of us have been talking about that. Beg your pardon, whoever's got their mic off.
What?
Terry, are you talking?
You hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know why my mic's on.
Okay. Well, I will take care of that. There we go. Here's Richie's interim summary. This target makes me feel tired. My writing has gotten smaller and more neat. Let me make this bigger. There does not seem to be a lot of energy, life about this place. It is clean and precise. May have been used as an experimental place. There may be a holding on to information or secret feeling about this place. I don't like this place. I feel I may be on an alternate timeline. Then he goes down and he starts in phase 4 describing his man-made one. And he moves 20 feet to the front of the target and starts to describe he's getting wood, mesh-like, and dust-like, flat. AI feels a bit weird to him. SI motion on a small, tiny scale here. Then we've got liquid and then scooper. And red label and stirring. Plastic-like, curved and grooved. He's still feeling okay. He checks in with himself frequently. Man-made 2 is bright green, open, tall and pole-like, big. And the SI, he's got fresh here. So he's picking up on information from other people at the site. I'm saying people, so it could be any biological, but I'm just saying. Move 20 feet in front of the target and describe. And great, didn't we just do that? What was that last move command? All right, so we are again moving 20 feet in front of the target and describing. Gray, tall, gray, green, rectangular, curved, boxy. Colors, multiple, and SI is related but intense. Vertical lines. Move inside man-made 2 and describe. We've got reddish, warm, flat. AI, this does not feel like a big space, but he feels okay. And we've got dark and emotion that's wave-like and rolling. Lynn, I've been up in the arch over St. Louis Arch, and you can feel that thing move, and you can feel the bridge at Mackinac Island move. Would you be able to feel motion in this thing, do you think?
I would imagine so, especially if like a big truck goes by, it's going to move the ground underneath it.
Uh-huh.
And so you probably feel those vibrations. Now, you probably wouldn't feel the swaying like you do, the Empire State Building and all that,
Uh-huh.
because it's such a rigid structure, but I'm sure you'd pick up vibrations from the ground.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering. It's so rigid. That's the great word right there. And I was wondering if you'd be able to feel that. Okay.
I don't see how you could keep from it.
Okay. Sound like a buzz in his ear and compacted. The biological white, like stern. Okay. Male, bright, tall, curved, motion that's walking and turning. And then Richie still feels okay. There's SI at the site of feeling calm and enjoyable. Here's where he takes a break and comes back. Oh, he's having set-asides of Mecca and Saudi Arabia. And you never know, this is a huge tourist attraction, so that could be very valid. If you start enlarging that photo, we always encourage you to look at your feedback. And if you want to see what some of your perceptions are, as well as researching information about the location and activity, you can zoom in on that photo and see if anything that you've got matches. Then we've got white and brown and SI of forceful and intensity. Now he's moving. You can see his P4 structure as far as you folks who are still in basic. He's got his matrix drawn across the top, and he's moving through the columns one at a time, probing for perceptions and going on to the next one. SI is overwhelming, tingling feeling in the body, and duty bound, and that's somebody at the site is reporting that. And walking and hostile-like, but that doesn't really fit. Maybe. He's under P2. I thought he was over in dimensionals. Sorry. And so now he's exploring hostile-like. He's got the perception, and then he moved underneath it, put it in parentheses, and came over and started recording at the site in the SI column. There's calm, assurance, confidence, above average, normal, and power wielder. And there's a fear factor, decision maker, people look up to. There's some anger and strict and unforgiving. Now he's moved over, he's decided to move to land 2 and describe, which he had gotten earlier. So he puts that in P2, comes down and writes it in parentheses. And Lynn technically should land 2 be over in the T column.
Yeah, technically it should, because it's a thing.
I wanted to point out, I'm perfectly happy with Richie putting it where he wants to put it, because I'll follow Richie. But yeah, for those of you who are learning, you might be, isn't that a noun? Yes, it is a noun. So distant walks for somebody at the site. And that is a big area. I don't know how many acres it covers. Oh, it looks like we have a bus. He's drawing a bus even. And he puts that in, like it's trying to be in the thing column. It didn't quite conceptual. It's kind of in between. And that appears to be all the pages I have. And then I have his summary that he typed up. I put it into a Word document and make it a little bigger so it shows up on camera. Okay, target has elements of land, biological, man-made, 1 and 2, and motion. The land is or has rough, dark, ridged, curved, yellowy, open, down, steep colors or multiple, grayish, groove-like motion, distant, hilly, dust-like, and flat. The biological has or is bright, open, green, yellow, lines, horizontal, dark, white, female, strong, brown, strong person mentally, confused, hostile-like, grayish tall, fresh here, relaxed but intense, stern male, calm, enjoyable, intensity, forceful, overwhelming, tingling in body, duty-bound, assurance, confidence, above average, normality, power holder, fear factor, decision maker, people look up to, anger, strict, forgiving, unforgiving, distant walk, breeze-like, walking and turning. By the way, Richie, as you'll notice, most of the perceptions that we just reviewed have made it into Richie's summary, and he has practiced for a long time. I'm not sure how many years, but he has worked very hard. He has strong confidence in what he is perceiving from his subconscious, because in your summary, you should go through your session and decide what is conscious mind pollution and imagination, and what are perceptions that came through from the subconscious. And Richie usually keeps most of his. The man-made is office-like, ginormous, love that word, gray, glass-like, warm, curved, bright, tile-like, clean colors, multiple, quiet, wire-like, leather-like, excuse me, my nose is itchy, soft, curved, dark, covered, closed in, squared, wood-like, mechanic-like, I stretched out his abbreviated word, dust-like, red, ladle, plastic, grooved, liquid-like, and compacted. And he uses a lot of light there. Lynn, you might, I'm almost done if you want to say anything about Richie's use of light quite a bit. Bright, land 2 is bright, beige, sand-like, distant, hilly, open, dusty, soft, rough, ridge-like, down, warm, and clear. Man-made 2, bright green, open, tall, pole-like, rectangular, grooved, boxy, and colors, multiple lines, vertical, reddish, warm, flat, bus, red, bus, multiple, white, radio-like, waves, groove-like, and compacted. The motion has or is breeze-like, walking, turning, energy, wave-like, rolling, up, down, turn, forward, and circular. And none of our feedback photos, I'm sorry, I didn't get any close-ups, but that thing, again, is made of a million zillion little triangular metallics connected. And so, and you saw the tubes and all the rooms, and it talked about how you could move throughout it. So when you look at your session, don't look at it as a whole and think, but I thought this was, look at each perception and ask yourself, is there something at the target that this is a yes, a no, or a maybe? And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lynn and Richie and take it away, guys. Any comments?
But yeah, just the importance of what you just said. Even very experienced remote viewers will look at their feedback and say, oh, that's not what I was seeing. And the fact is, that's generally true. Your conscious mind all the way through is trying to solve the problem of what this target is. And your subconscious mind has a way of putting information through that is common to the real target and to what you've got in your mind's eye, you know. And so a lot of times you'll look at the feedback and you'll say, oh, I missed the target completely. And then you go through and you, one by one, ask yourself on each of the perceptions that you wrote down, is this true about the target or not? And what you find out is 70 to 90, 95% of everything you wrote down is absolutely true about the target, even though it's not what you had in your mind's eye. Your subconscious can remote view almost without you. You know, it ignores everything you say. Oh, I know what it is. And it goes ahead and sneaks in the information about the site. So when you look at your feedback and you say, oh, I missed this target, the fact is you don't know if you missed the target or not, because if you wrote your summary, you're going to find that the summary is generally more accurate than your suspicions. And so what Teresa just told you is extremely true and extremely important. And also it teaches you how your mind works. And so as far as learning about yourself, yeah, write those summaries. Don't condemn yourself, and score the summary. I think you'll always be very proud of the fact that you did get the target, even though your first impression is, oh, I missed, so don't worry about it.
As you can see, you can hopefully see I've been enlarging this photo. It's up to 240%, and there is a lovely double-decker bus. You can also see the tubes and the windows, although it looks like there's almost a reflection, and I didn't realize the first time I looked at this until we started talking about it, that those aren't reflections, those are actually like observation decks and windows. Richie, did you want to say anything? I keyed your mic.
The target.
Yes, sir?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't comfortable doing the target, and that's why I kept taking the breaks, because I just didn't feel comfortable. And I'm just looking at that, at the target, but there's a building behind it that I'm happy with, that I seem to have on, the shape of the building. So I was struggling not to. There was pictures forming in my head, and I just was pushing that away because I knew I could trust my subconscious. But it was just a struggle to do this particular target. So, but I persevered anyway.
Great session.
That's good. Yeah, good session. I don't think you really realize from this picture how big that building is until you look at those two side balls on the bottom.
Yeah.
Look at the structure coming down behind that and going behind the trees way back in the back. This is a humongous building.
Yeah. Looks so futuristic.
Yeah. I was happy with my ginormous word anyway.
Ginormous fit.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, let me minimize this thing and we'll grab another session. And kind of tuck it over here to the side. All right, let's see who's up. Terry's up just because hers is the first one. And no, oh, I hate it when I do that. You'll be back. I'll find you. I closed you out, but it won't be for long. Let me see, who's this? Michelle. I won't close yours out. Okay, Michelle. Let's see. Scrolling down through this, we've got no previews of coming attractions. Great structure for the girl who didn't like to be reined in. You have trained yourself well. And you guys don't know how hard she's worked with this. She's moved through phase.
That's good structure.
It is. I mean, look at that. You've got your gestalt or your coordinates, and then your ideograms, and then your IAB sequence. She's done it 3 times and gotten good sight contact, and then moved into phase 2. Go ahead.
Newbies,
yeah.
Just for the newbies,
yeah.
Can we explain that, like the coordinates and the ideogram and all that?
Go ahead.
Go over on the left side because that's right brain activity. the analysis of what the ideogram means and all that goes over on the right side because that's left brain activity. And I mean, even in this stage 1, there's a lot of research and science that went along behind just all of the simple rules and everything that go with remote viewing.
So
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
No, it's all good. And especially if folks forgot or didn't get it the first time they heard it, you never know what's going to be an aha moment for someone. And you never know when good review is exactly what someone needs. So that's fine. No problem. It's not like we're, we're doing fine. It's 8:48, my time. Then I'm looking at, okay, Richie, I'm going to mute your mic. Let's see, P2, she's moved in, she's getting perceptions on her man-made, and she's also still winking about the site, so she has perceptions coming in from all over, not just the man-made. So she's got boxy cornered, she's getting dimensional, so we have shapes, balloonish fronted, white painted stone, and then off to the right, she's sketching note, image, half dark and half light.
Can I interject something here
Yes, you
about
can.
the remote viewing?
Yeah.
Notice that each one of those balls is reflecting the sky and the ground, and it's half dark and half light.
Yeah.
And the line goes across horizontally, but on hers, the line goes across vertically. This shows that her subconscious has actually wound up laying on its side at the target. And this happens a lot. And you're still going to get the target, but many times you'll get something like a long tapering thing going to the right, and with its point on the right, and your subconscious is wound up at the target laying on its side, and it's actually describing the Eiffel Tower or something, standing up straight. And this is one of the phenomenons that happen in remote viewing, and it's nothing to worry about. It's a very common thing. It happens to everybody sooner or later, and it doesn't mess with your session. It doesn't do anything, bad. It's just it's one of those, oh, that's neat type things about remote viewing, and I just wanted to point that out.
Well, I actually met a viewer at one of our conferences who said that she comes in turned the wrong way every time. She's kept track of her sessions and learned that about herself. So every time she lands, what we call land at the target site, but she has to turn herself around every time and get site orientation.
Note what Teresa just said, studying her sessions, I almost always wind up facing off to the left of the target. And so when I wind up at the site, I will generally give myself a little thing to turn a little to the right, and poof, there's the target in front of me. But every viewer has their own little quirks, and it's by keeping track of your sessions, by recording, by documenting, and analyzing your session after you do it, that you find out these things about yourself. The real target of practice, real purpose of practice targets is not to learn something about the target, it's to learn something about yourself.
And you'll notice that Michelle orients herself on every page with the coordinates. The target is the target, describe the target. And she's working down through her perception, still working on the man-made, and she was getting dimensionals. And she's got her little sketches that she's straight padding with the half white and half black. And I'm wondering, if she may already, have had an AI up through here, because she is getting dimensionals. I'm just throwing that out there. because her sketch indicates those balls. And now she's telling herself, move on now to describe the target. And this gets a little funny. She has a great session here, by the way. Railed, curved-walled, red outer, orange inner, large shelled. And we did see on that video, I pulled that up because it did show orange. Maybe that was looking out over the city. There was orange. My bad. Large shelled and open centered. Yep. And then stray cat, baby high chair trays move up and down. And you're going to see that type of, if you imagine how a baby's high chair tray moves up and down, you're going to see that throughout several sessions. We've got pipey, curled, orchestrated, sophisticated, temple-like, and lit. Note, this is so slow for me. I'm almost frustrated. Move to target 131120. So she's telling herself to get on it. The top fan's out, underside, and then more like edges are flared. She's got underside as well as, and she didn't say that's the top. And then she's got red square flash, and they are in Brussels, red square being in Russia. So she has a stray cat of that.
That was kind of a stretch.
Well, maybe mile-wise, but for us, folks over here that never visited.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So, let's see. We've got urban, coastal, water divided, and you never know. There might have been a Russian tourist there. Might have.
It's kind of a stretch.
Water divided, wide-roaded, still surrounded. Mild climate, more wet, less dry, and stray cat of British Isle vibe, cobblestone roads and taste. Major hedges alignment classically arranged. Dark, rich, moist, and fertile. Stray cat of thermometer shape. I love it. For those of you who know what thermometers look like with the big bulb on the end, she has a stray cat of thermometer shape. Then comes back and keeps, she sets that aside and declares that stray cat set aside. Comes back and has Old World, Middle Europe, Northwest, small protrusion, rickety signage marked, and stray cat of lovely turnip appearance. Lynn, would you like to say anything so far about not declaring any AIs, but we are getting all kinds of dimensionals and stuff?
Yeah, she can go ahead and do dimensionals without having an AI. In fact, the dimensionals will lead her up to the AI.
Right.
Now,
do you think she's already had one?
There is nothing simple about remote viewing, okay?
Right.
In the 2 hours that I just got off Skype on that thing,
Yeah.
I was explaining how, excuse me, how when you go into the perfect site integration, the total by location, each sense goes in at a different time, and you don't really have the full by location until all of your senses are in there. The same thing can happen with an AI. So you might do the initial ideogram, and all of a sudden you get a visual, and your sense of sight has just had an AI, but your other senses have not had the AI. And so in a session, you may find that you have no idea what the target is, you can't see anything, you're not getting any visual smells or anything, but man, you can hear clanging or footsteps or something like that. That's because your sense of sound has had the AI without you, you know.
Yeah.
And that's also an indicator that if you keep on working and if you start focusing, all of a sudden your other senses will go into it as well. And that's when you start getting that spatial relation to the target and you have the full AI. But that's looks very much like what happened here in the beginning of this session. Her sense of vision had the AI just right off the bat. And now then she's working through, and but she's working back in phase 2 just like she should.
Yeah.
And if she keeps on with these dimensionals, it will give her a very good AI.
Yeah, and she's going to. We've got groups in tan jumpsuits, white hard hats, assessing challenges, combing history, mostly males, female-led, experts carefully chosen. Stray cat, dark dipping caverns beneath important area, cold, wet, echoing tunnels out, long straight areas. And we've got long talking. She didn't declare an interim summary here, but I think, and she can tell us if I'm working on an assumption here, but this is almost like an interim summary, which she and I had talked about. Long talking at large round tables, urgency for plan, gray-bearded with horn-rimmed glasses, understands the most. Small, young Italian female is onto new theory, now theory. Long-range thinkers now in a hurry, they're book lovers. Science history types counting on technical mechanic based, very dedicated to see it through. Precious treasure savers, thankless jobs behind the scenes, true heroes. So she's getting tons of conceptuals in there as well.
Here again, she's getting conceptuals, which is, way beyond stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
But she has not had the full AI yet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how you can tell she has not had the full AI? That was a tough question. I shouldn't have given you that.
No, that's fine. No, you just feel free. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, she's describing what's at the target and describing all the way through that there's long talking at the target, there's an urgency for plan, there's this, that, and the other at the target and all that. But she has not yet said it's in front of me or it's beside me or I see in front of me. She hasn't taken that personal spatial relationship with the target. And when you do that, that's your AI.
Well, that's what I was going to say. She hasn't declared it. I didn't know if I was going to be, that's cheating because, in structure, she hasn't declared an AI yet, which is just exactly what you just said. But the fact that she had done those spot-on sphere sketches right off the bat made me wanted to specifically talk about this and maybe, have been viewing from the minute her paper hit the pen.
Yeah, and that's what I say. Visually, she had an AI.
Yeah.
I would suspect that when she drew that sphere or that circle that's half black, half white, that there was a feeling of some kind or something that she was looking at it or looking up at it or looking at it in front of her or something like that. And if so, then there's your personal spatial relationship to the target, and it would have been declarable as an AI. So that's something that you pay attention to. And since she didn't declare it, as an analyst, you would have to say she has not yet had the full AI. But the fact is, she may have already had it.
Then motion, she has uncoiling, rewinding, turning, locking, unfurling, soft waterproof material, and there's a stray cat of large wheel as handle. And Terry has pointed out over in the text area that 2 people wrote turnip. Richie evidently wrote it, and I didn't remember it if I read it off. Then Michelle has filtering, fanning, temperature taking. There's water gauging, squatting, reaching, scraping, x-raying, looks like lining and laying. There's charting and sound waving. And Richie referred to radio waves. Then space, under earthy, deep level, important topped. Weather changes dramatically alter. Secret importance, litmus test of priorities. She's written that twice. Looks not if she's repeated that word or if it's a different word. All right, then we're moving into water, which is antiquated sewer systems seeping up from rising water level sea to northwest. River through city center and windmill life in Holland is straight path. Main route around for trade commerce. The river is a new problem. The city center foundation, and she's now starting to sketch. Still not declaring an AI. We've got workers here in like an odd brownstone row house, and I'm tilting my head. White painted, something business with wooden signage. There's old stone road that's smooth, and then she's indicating grass, earth, water, grass, earth. Okay, so like a river going between. And I had that one feedback photo that I didn't put in the feedback. There was water in it. And it was underneath this thing, like a puddle. So the target is the target, describe the target, and she's coming down to sketch. Flexible material with metal straps, large area covered, scaffolding-like structure surrounds main opening. And now she's got an AI that she's going to declare. I'm here in a deep, dark, wet tunnel, 5 to 7 people, all different languages. I'm understanding that there should be no water here. This is new, very alarming. I'm asking what is above here. Building holding important manuscript. Art museum next door. There is a museum inside. Well, this thing is a museum. Tight environment is all affected like not really curves, like something. Red gold with gold embellishment, very something fragile like a banner or shield. Worn, fragile like banner or shield. Symbolic anchor for the history of these people. And then in parentheses here, art and books are for everyone like air, with an exclamation point and in quotation marks. And then now we're into P4, and she has only ventured into P4 a couple of times, so she has excellent structure. She's coming down. She wants to explore balloonish and fronted, and she moves into dimensionals, tall, wide, rounded, and her AI temporary covering. So that's her feeling. Then SI is used to it, want work done. So that's somebody at the site. Then things are facade, scaffolding, conceptuals are art, history, and culture. And stray cats are large tight image, high chair tray, large wheels with handle, windmill, red square, turnip, thermometer shape. And she has an interim summary, which I emailed her about interim summaries being in the session and summaries being at the end. And Lynn, I'll let you pick that up. But balloonish fronted, man-made, seem to be a temporary protective covering as work is being carried out on this cultural site. My focus was deep below on structural challenges. Excellent session, ma'am. Excellent structure.
Neat that when she went into stage 4, the one previous perception that she went back to was balloonish. Out of all those pages of perceptions, she went back to exactly the one descriptive one. And that shows that her subconscious mind is guiding this session along. This is a good session.
I tell you what, we've got some great sessions tonight. Congratulations, Michelle. And looks like I just was checking. I thought your mic was off. But we did review, or at least I sent an email explanation about the interim summary and how it lets your conscious mind write in some sentences and kind of gets it in the game a little bit. And if it's been chomping at the bit and wants to have a part, this will help you get sight contact. And you can do it anywhere in your session. and then your regular summary is after the session. Anything you'd like to expand upon with that, Lynn?
Oh, I think you did great there.
Okay.
Good.
Well, there's always more to be had from the discussion. So, okay. Well, I look at this crisscrossing, you know, with those stairs and stuff that we're going up. I'm not saying that they are for sure, but there's a lot of crisscrossing going on at this target, as well as just to look at the structure itself. And good night to you, Richie. Get some sleep over there in Ireland. Thanks for coming. All right, so I'm going to make so I can narrow down my stuff here. All right, let's make Richie's go away. And this one is Michelle's. I'm going to close that out. This helps me keep on track. All right, and Mojo, I know you're here waiting patiently. I wish I knew who you are, and if I know you, we will be getting to your session. I just worked my way down through. All right. Then this is Ron's session, and no preview of coming attractions. I always like to check that. And again, Ron is just moving into intermediate as well. And he has great structure. He's also been studying it very hard. And by the way, Ron and I are turning in an article for 8 Martinis. Daz is waiting on my bio and my review of it tonight. But so everybody just be aware there's a new issue of 8 Martinis coming out very shortly, which thank you to Daz Smith for all the hard work he does for us. So Ron is moving through phase 1, getting his coordinates and multiple ideograms here. I want to say that Ron has been really good at describing locations and structures and wants to branch out and just start getting the other gestalts. And he's gotten some people stuff here that I was pretty impressed with. He wasn't so sure he had a decent session. I haven't looked at it in depth, but we're going to take a peek. So natural, we have cold, slimy, green, and slippery, and I think, was it Michelle that was having some of those same perceptions, and he's having stray cat of moss. Then man-made, he's got blue and black design, tall, open, and hard, and a stray cat of a room. Unknown of shaky, fragile, damaged, and rare, and an off-white Okay, well, gee. Hi, everybody.
It works. Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. I hope we don't have to deal with that often.
I hope not. Later.
Yeah, hey, by the way, can you make a comment for anybody who's looking at the transcript? Can you type something in? So we had a little break there, and, oh, good,
I've been typing that all along.
okay, good, because I see we're still recording, so anything you guys have been saying, you know, is going to be captured. So, all right, well, let me pull some folks' sessions back up since they all went away when I pulled the plug.
Good luck with the electronic world.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we're still talking on the phone. So
just remember, it's going to rule the world, so you got to be nice to it.
I hear you. All right, hang in there. I'm looking for some folks' sessions. And if they're labeled right, I should be able to find them in a split second. Okay, and so there's Terry and Ron, and now I just have to find Mojo. Hang on, because I think Mojo actually had two. I need to, okay, I'm getting a summary. There we go. Okay, let's see who I have here. I have Terry, Mojo, I'm looking for Ron, last one. And Ron, don't you even be thinking that it was your target that made my computer lock up and oh Lord, don't go there. Every now and then my computer will do that. So, gee, you've still got my desktop even, it looks like. Is that correct or not correct? Are you guys looking at my desktop or not? No? That's what I thought. All right, now that is gonna, nope, no video either. Oh, well, maybe I need to turn that on. All right, well, we can live without the video. Oh, there we go. Maybe. It's not letting me turn my camera back on. Well, we can live without that. However, this file sharing is going to be a problem. So just a minute. I'm going to have to pull up files. Oh, this is going to be bad. Just looking at all my buttons to see if I get to change something. Yeah. This is what happens when I get thrown out of the host seat and have to regroup. It doesn't like it. So just a second. All right, so there's at least the feedback. Oops, that's not what I want to do. All right, now I have to do that with everybody's PDF that we didn't have. So that depends on how you labeled them as to how fast I can go. So this is where it's really important that everybody is consistent. Target 11131120 and your last name. Yep, I have to do from libraries. Because I have to remember underscores, periods, and the whole bit. So I have no idea why it can't just take, and why people's systems throw in extra stuff. I'm glad you can't see my face on camera right now. That's all I have to say. Right. Hang on, I might know what it is. When I first download them, I need to move them to documents. We might be here till midnight at this rate. Okay. We may have to shut down and create a new meeting environment to do this. Because it won't let me pull up files because I'm trying to pull up Ron's right now. In the libraries, in documents, and his PDF. For whatever reason, everybody's machine does it. It adds underscores and dashes and periods and .pdfs above and beyond what I want to. Oh, a miracle. Actually, oh, well, maybe hot dog. We have a session. It's all right. It's just Teresa not knowing the tiny, tiny details of how to do this. And we'll blame it on that. Actually, this part could be more user-friendly. I need to tell WebEx that. All right, so Ron is having a really good session with structure. We already covered that. And he was in phase 2, and I have to scroll down for you. He has straight cat of curtains. I've not seen a declared AI. And then he's still in phase 2, and we're getting bumpy gray, brown, white, black, yellow, blue, green, and a straight cat of balloons. And organic is warm, people sitting and waiting. And then he has oh yeah, I also moved my cursor. That's why desktop is easier. It's a little touchy. Then he has a phase 3, but he has not declared his AI yet. So he's moved into phase 3 in his sketching without officially declaring it an AI. He has a straight cat of restraint right above that, and then moved into phase 3 and started sketching. And so without that AI, I'm thinking that here is, he might have started castle building. We've got a waiting area with people. And I like the relationships of the people. We have different kinds and genders and sizes. And that's a nice sketch for somebody who usually sketches locations.
Teresa,
yeah,
we're still seeing the first page.
Oh, okay. Let me share.
Or I am anyway. I'm not sure if everybody else is.
How about that? Sync with presenter. Let me shrink the size. It's a little too much. All right, so we moved down through.
They didn't have any effect.
Really?
Still seeing just the first page.
Can you go up to the top where the little arrows are, and it's got pages? There's arrows going left and right, and one going up and down.
Yeah, that works. Everybody, if you go up to the last tab that showed up, right below that, there's a 01 and an arrow to the right going right beside it. Just keep clicking on next page.
Yeah, Janine's got it. There's a page indicator with arrows at the top. Click that. And Mojo's saying she can do that. Michael says he can do it. So Terry says she can do it. All right. So I think everybody is on the same page. Unintended.
And what page number would that be?
4.
Good.
All right. So this does get interesting. We have a straight cat of restraint, and then he goes right into phase 3 and starts sketching. There's a room. It appears to be, and as I said, for a guy who normally does structure, this is a pretty good visual. Whether it's at the target, I'm not sure. Because, again, he didn't declare an AI, and he sketched immediately after a straight cat. So I just moved to page 5 myself, and this is his first or second, maybe, attempt at phase 4 matrix, which I'm happy to see some really good structure going across the top with columns and Italian smell and blue walls and black design, and then dimensional high ceiling. Makes me hungry. Family, something, older building, family business, older building, and I should probably enlarge this a little bit.
Their livelihood.
Their livelihood, yep. And then he took a break and restarted 15 minutes later. Just resume. I know what you meant, Ron. Resume. Then green and gold P2s and wooden. Then I need a bench come in, and he came back over and wooden, and it's uncomfortable. And that is an SI, so that's somebody at the target site feels that the bench is uncomfortable. And 40s, and conceptual, we've got 40s, and then straight cat of meeting place. Then back over to talking sounds. Wide, no longer here, sad because burnt down, new building, 70s. Now I'm going to go to page 6, which is his summary. Let me go back to page 5 just for a split second, make sure I scrolled all the way down.
By the way, if
Yeah.
anybody's having trouble with fitting it on the page or seeing below that, there's a scroll bar to the right of the area, but also over in your left at the very bottom of the page, there's a thing that says full screen and then gives the percentage of magnification, and you can set that to 100% or 75% or whatever to get the whole page on the screen at once.
What he said. Okay, so target summary is, it's a location. There seems to be a presence of natural, man-made, 2 unknowns, and organic. Natural seems cold, slimy, with a hint of green, giving the impression of raw oysters, which are slippery when eaten. The man-made seems to be a large waiting area. The walls appear to be plaster painted, dark blue with black strips. I think he's similar to a zebra, so the ceiling has a design in the middle, giving the impression of tin ceilings. The room gives impression of late 40s. It's not a house, but inside a large building. The first unknown seems to be shaky, ever so slightly as something moves past it. It seems fragile, has been damaged several times, and it is rare, as though it is no longer made, making it irreplaceable. The off-white color could be from age. The second unknown seems bumpy with a lot of color. There are aspects of gray, brown, white, black, yellow, blue, and green. Impression of a confetti-like carpet is present, making this a good choice to hide particles dropped on it. Organic appear to be a man, girl, and a woman. Man is dressed in a wool brown suit with a brown hat. The girl has a white blouse and a green skirt. The woman has a red outfit on, giving the impression of hostess. Behind her is a brightly lit area, making the blue room seem darker than what it is. The smell of tomato sauce and garlic bread seem appetizing. The stray cats of moss, room, curtain, balloon, restraint, and session. And I would like to say on that word restraint, there are physical restraints and conceptual restraints, or a feeling or an ambiance of restraint. So anyway, Ron, congratulations on getting people. I know you've been working on that, and I think this summary is a testament to the fact that, I mean, if we decide that maybe he's off target, and we'll get Lynn's impressions here, but if he is or isn't, the amount of perceptions in his summary, I think, are greater than the perceptions in his session. There's a lot more information in his summary, and when you view and write your summary, you are still viewing. So I just wanted to throw that in. And then Ron and Lynn, hopefully your mics are working and you folks can talk if you're so inclined.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. You're still remote viewing while you do your session, and so the session may actually contain...
You mean your summary?
Your summary, I'm sorry. And so your summary may actually contain even a lot more information about the target than was in your session. And and that's even with throwing out half the stuff that's in your session because you don't believe it anymore. But the thing is, Teresa is going through these sessions to show you the structure and how people worked and what was going through their mind and all. But when you score a session, you only score the summary. And that's why it's very important to write a summary and know how to do a summary writing. The reason for that is, at the start of every session, you're winking about the site, you're getting all kinds of garbage, you're settling in, you don't know where you are, and even your subconscious gets lost and everything. And so the beginning of a session is always going to have some garbage in it. And you don't want to make that, your permanent school record, that will follow you through life like the principal always threatened. But you definitely want to get to the end of the session and then go back over your session and see what you still believe now that you have good sight contact. And that goes into the summary. Don't fall for the thing of just rewriting your entire session into your summary thinking that that's what you're supposed to do, because it's not. You go back through your session, you find out now that you have good sight contact, which you still agree with, and that's what you put into your session, into your summary. While you're doing it, because you have the good sight contact, you'll be picking up more stuff because you're still remote viewing. And so, it's an important thing to know that only your summary is going to get scored. If anybody tries to score your entire session, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know that much about remote viewing. Anyway, there can be a lot of stuff in your summary that's not in your session.
And he does have a lot of perceptions when you take them by themselves. They're at the site, and I'm really happy with that. We're seeing balloon again, and the black strips, and there's metallic.
One of the problems with this session is he knows that he's inside a large building. And in fact, he says it's not a house, but inside a large building. And he knows that. The problem is that this target cannot be adequately described from the inside. You'd have to move outside the building. And they sort of got stuck inside the building. And I know remote viewers, I know the structure and how the structure will pull you through, and I know that there are indicators all through this that his summary comes from a lot of sight contact. And so I would, even without going to get more literature on it, I would tend to say that he's at the target and is getting a lot of good information. Now, for feedback, we would have to go, shoot, even write to Brussels and say, can you send me detailed information on the atomium, and, to the travel office or whatever. But all of the feedback that's necessary for this can be gained. It's just that we don't have it right now. And so I would put a lot of faith in this.
Me too. And one thing that all of you don't know, that it comes from working with people as a team and knowing your people. I have heard Ron say time and again in the last couple of weeks that he's not getting deep enough sight contact. He wants to do better at that. And when he viewed our target of the coffee shop in Egypt, he said, yeah, but I need to move inside and I need to go in. And guess what he just did? There are no move commands that tell us that he moved inside, but he moved inside. And that's one of his goals, is learning to pick up things besides structure and location and moving inside. And guess what he just did?
Moved inside a target that you cannot adequately describe from the inside.
That's right.
That puts him right there with the rest of all of us. I mean, we've all had this happen.
I'm just sitting here, I'm cracking up in a good way, because it's like he wanted to do it and he did it. However, he probably doesn't know that he did it. It happened in one of those flashes in the white space that don't get recorded like a packet. So in structure, in session, when you really want to do that, you make a little note for your analyst so she can follow along, or your teacher. So, but anyway, Ron, if you want to have any comments, now's the time, because probably need to be moving on. We've got 2 more sessions to go over. Okay.
While we're waiting for him, if he comes on,
Yeah.
let me just say that all of the targets of the week, all of the targets that you get off Target Monkey and everything else, if you're remote viewing adequately, you're going to get information that's not in the feedback. But there's feedback available out there. I did a session one time. It was just a little practice target from one picture in a National Geographic magazine of a little Swiss town way up in the mountains. And in that session, I named all the streets, did a layout of the city, told exactly where the different stores were, where the bank was, where the railroad station was, and drew a city map. And in order to get feedback, we had to go to the National Geographic. We had to write to that town and to the tourist bureau in that town, the information bureau. And finally, we found out that the map was correct. Everything was correct, except I missed one street name. But even all the other street names were correct. And I even drew an accurate map of the town fountain in the process. And so this feedback is there. It's somewhere floating out in the cloud of humanity. And if you do a session, just because something's not in the feedback, don't count it wrong, okay? Take the effort. Go ahead and find out, go ahead and find out the information and find out how you really do.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, check the file name and try again. While I'm doing this, can somebody tell me why does it choose underscores and stuff when the people don't put those in? I've got it.
Because the browser that they use, there's generally a thing in there that will send anything as ASCII or UI something code, and if they've got it clicked to send the code along with the text, it'll send it, you'll receive it, even though they never see it.
I'm going to get Ron's session off because for whatever reason it's dominating. There we go. All right, so here is Terry's session, and she's only been converting from other reporting mechanisms to CRV for a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 maybe. So here we go. We have a total of 9 pages. So everybody all together now, I'm on page 1, and she's taking coordinates multiple times, getting multiple gestalts with her ideograms and labeling them 1 and 2 and going into IAB, which very good, Miss Terry. And she is writing the feel.
I would recommend that everybody always take the coordinates, do an ideogram in A and B at least twice.
Yeah. I've been telling my students at least 3 times. And then I remind them that, you know, once you start getting repeating gestalts, I would move into phase 2, you know, label them 1 and 2 and add such as you start exploring them. But I would move into phase 2. So you can do it till his cows come home, but there are other things in life to do than describe this one target. So let's learn something and get on with it.
This came up with a student the other day on a conference. They were having trouble getting their Enneagram. There is a mythological thing called the 10-pager club, where you take the coordinates for 10 pages and still don't get an Enneagram. You know, you take the coordinates over and over for 10 pages before you get an Enneagram. And let me tell you, I'm a member in good standing of the 20-pager club. So don't be afraid to take these coordinates over and over again. And at some point, something may pop up that wasn't in the Enneagram before that or whatever. So don't be afraid to take the coordinates.
When you do that, are you aborting?
When you don't get an Enneagram, or when you take it over? You mean?
When you don't get an Enneagram, do you abort that one, or do you just? I don't think I've ever experienced that.
There's nothing to abort. There's nothing there, and so you just take the coordinates again.
Okay, I find that kind of weird, but okay.
Well, it happens to most people later in the session when you tap the paper and you don't get anything. And tap the paper again. And if you still don't get anything, tap the paper again. What you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind, hey, we're going to keep doing this until you give me something. And that's what's called giving your subconscious responsibilities as well as rights. And it's what makes your inner child grow up into an inner adult.
Well, I'm kind of seeing a little kid there, like, what's that old time cartoony thing with the little rascals? You know, I'm seeing that little kid with his freckles and his arms across his chest, that pumping his foot. Like,
And you just have to sooner or later tell them, hey, this is your job, do it. And you have to sometimes do that with your subconscious mind, and you know, every time you tap the page, it gives you brown, 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 and you wind up with a whole page full of brown. You know, hey, keep tapping the page. Pretty soon, your subconscious mind will come around and say, "Well, all right, there's also something round," you know, and you're back on the job.
All these years, I don't think I've heard that story before.
Well, it generally happens to everybody. Generally, it happens not in stage 1, but in stage 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that. But it can happen in stage 1 too, where your subconscious just says, I don't feel like playing today. And you just have to say, fine, don't play, work, do your job.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's too bad we're at Fort Meade, roll.
That's right. There's a general sitting out in the hallway tapping his foot. Get to work.
Okay, so she's moved into phase 2 and is describing land as soft, cushiony, light-colored, green, yelling. There's yelling going on at the land. Did she get a gestalt for a biological back there on page 1? Let's just take a little look. We have ideograms for land. Oh, doggone this thing being sensitive. Land, movement, more land. There's a biological. Okay. Well, the point being, there is yelling going on. Even though she is looking specifically at land, she has information coming in from all over the site. She's still getting her bearings. So if she had not got a specific gestalt for biological, there aren't too many things that yell other than people. So there you could pull that down. Eventually you know that there are people at the site, and you could pull that down and start working that perception for more information just based on that. And please jump in, Mr. Buchanan, with any comments.
Okay, if that happens, let's say your gestalts are land and water, period.
Yeah.
And then somewhere down in your session you hear kids playing or people talking or something like that. What's happened is you have gotten a new gestalt. So when you write your summary, you can add that one in as a gestalt even though it's not there in phase one.
Okay, and we've got floating and cloud-like, and clouds is a stray cat. Even though she's still learning structure, she didn't write SB there, but she'll get it. Stuttered, repeated, small, black, and hard. And by the way, stuttered can be things other than talking. Stuttering can be motion. So then I'm scrolling down here. I'm still on page of this thing. It is so sensitive. It's a performer. I'm on page 3. Stretching and then movement is alive. An AI of strong reaction and visceral. She's having. I'm not seeing. She's still getting on to, in our email communication, how to declare an AI, because she did not learn it as declaring your spatial relationship to the target. She only learned it as your feeling about the target. So declaring that spatial relationship, she's just now getting onto. So yeah. She's describing, go ahead.
There, among even the trainers, there is a general misunderstanding of the AI, and many of them think that when you have a strong emotion, that's your AI, and that's not. That's just an emotional impression, strong as it may be. The AI is your aesthetic impact, and that means how does this site affect you? And that will always show up as a spatial relationship when you establish a spatial relationship with a site. And that is, it's in front of me, or it's beside me, or it's behind me, or something like that. And you can feel it in front of you, or above you, or down below. Or you say, it's right in front of me, so I need to back up, you know. That is you personally and spatially relating to the target, and that's your AI. And a lot of people say, oh, if you had a strong emotion, that's your AI. And fact is, it's not. What happens with a real AI is that you spatially relate to the target because you have just now put yourself at the target. And ideally, if you put yourself at the target, from that point on, remote viewing becomes very easy because all you have to do is look around. Listen to what's to your right, listen to what's to your left, take a deep breath and or sniff and smell of the target, because, I mean, you're right there at it. And so if you understand the AI as that, rather than as some of the stuff that many of the teachers are saying is an AI, if you understand it that way, you'll start noticing when you plop yourself into the target, and all of a sudden, man, your remote viewing becomes easier and easier and more accurate, because now all you have to do is just look around, you know, reach around, slap something, kick it, smell of it, taste it, shuffle your feet back and forth and see if the floor is smooth or gritty or dirt or cement or whatever. And you can interact with the target because you're there. So that's what the AI really is.
Okay, so she has spiral and then has declared slinky off to the right. And then we've got springy, moving to a point, and then the land 2 goes up. Mounded echoes blacks and greens. And I'm moving to page 4. We've got whites. Okay. Whites, object 3D irregular, has bulk. Cloud is a stray cat, biological. AI, again, visceral reaction is the 4. Dark black and line pattern, geometric object, verticals, touchable, joined. Risking moving down the page here. Road. like stuttered to touch. Separated at intervals. Just trying to just make out her words. She's got regular intervals, is what she put in parentheses. That's what she's trying to say. Light colored, light brown, flesh colored, and squishy. Page 5, we're going back to P2 land 2 and a note, can I do this? Yeah, you just essentially gave yourself a move command. You could say in structure, move to land 2. And because for whatever reason, what did she do that she thinks she moved away from it? I'm asking out loud.
She may have, and in fact, what she did right there, P2,
Yeah.
and in parentheses, land 2,
Yeah.
that's perfectly fine too.
Okay.
What is a good tip for a lot of people when you start feeling lost? Give yourself a move command back to the tasking, or back to any one of it, or you can say, I think I'm lost. Move to the target and describe. And your subconscious mind says, oh, all right, I can do that. And you're back on track again. So these move commands are and also, revisiting something you've been at before. This is great. Don't be afraid to do that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and so now I see, I had to go back and look at your other page, Terry. Yeah, you were working biological. You want to go to land 2. That's fine. You can give yourself a move command, or you can just write P2 land 2 the way you just did. All right, so I'm looking, we've got irregular dimensions, tannish, like mountain form, but not, whites and tan, balled up on horizontal plane, setting aside rock, stone, quartz. It's smooth. Then she's got man-made and edge. Trying to scroll slowly. I am on page 5. Scrolling to the bottom. She's got 2 right angles with a line dividing like a triangle, sort of, like the way that is assembled. Similar. Then we've got dark vertical lines from horizontal top, and I'm moving to page 6. You guys may be way ahead of me. Then we've got sketching off to the right, and Lynn, she's doing that consistently. If you want to jump in at some point and talk about that, but again, she's just learning how to start documenting. But
that's not a problem.
Right.
Classically, your sketch would go in the middle because it's both analysis and still coming from the subconscious. So it's both right brain and left brain. And so classically, you would put it in the middle. But the main thing is just so it winds up on the page. If you can sketch.
And we've got base, structure like outside, light colored rough thing around this. And it's curved at the bottom. And so her next sketch, she's further trying to describe the shape by curving it with this sketch. And wall-like, open, inside center, AI, do something in here every day, feel. Then page 7, we've got open area in distance, views expansive, some vegetation, place up higher than view, not extremely lush, and water in the distance. And then she's moved into phase 3, and she learned a different way about putting all your sketches in one spot. I think she explained it in email. Hard curve separated form enclosed something solid, corner-like, attached to something. And now is a bigger sketch, attached to natural. Oh, come back here. I moved to 8. Attached to natural, attached to irregular shape, Elevator ride to amusement park is a stray cat. And then looks like a vertical sketch with lines. I'll say cylinder because that's what it appears like. So, or a tube like. So we've got unfamiliar locale, suspended from high up, smooth tubular line vertically, top and bottom, contained attached to structure, purposeful high up in the air, view from this creamy colored solid, possibly individual, vertical, and curved. And we've got three little sketches similar to the big one. And she says, with an arrow, go in this, goes up, reminds me of pearls material, and then AI for viewing purposes. And she's also got humped feel.
Sounds pretty fantastic to me. This is right on.
And then her summary, go ahead.
As an analyst, I would have to notice that all of her previous sketches are pretty much just shapes, and she's got the curve that it is curved, and and then draws the curve in with the vertical lines and all that. But here, notice that she's suddenly given you a three-dimensional sketch. As an analyst, it would be my job at this point to go back to her and say, did you have an AI? Because all of a sudden, she's not drawing shapes and all that are at the target, but she's drawing it as she would see it if she were at the target. And so this is generally a clear indicator that a true AI has happened. But the analyst always has to go back and say, where was this in relation to you or whatever.
Which I think that you're explaining that right here is going to help her, because this whole AI spatial relationship thing is new to her. She was not aware of that before.
Yeah, that's new to most teachers too. Not because it's new, but because they didn't learn it either.
Okay.
I hope that was diplomatic enough.
Okay, I think we got it. Summary, and she starts by saying the target has aspects of her gestalt: man-made, movement, natural, land, biologicals. Man-made has elements of tall vertical structure. Structure has enclosed capsular shape with repeated vertical lines running from top to bottom. It is light colored, possibly tan or cream colored, with shiny, smooth surfaces. Repeated line verticals forming the capsule may be curved or arched outwards. Structure appears suspended high in the air and seems to be attached to an irregular shaped structure or land form. Want to say land form. It may move up and down. It is either a structure for viewing, or because it is elevated, views can be seen from this structure. Yes, they can. And it feels like this is a protected area high up in the air. The natural element is an irregular shaped object which resembles a stone. It is smooth texture and is a combination of various light colors such as tan, cream, and white. It may be related to the above described structure. The target includes a small man-made aspect which has elements of solid repetitive objects, which may include colors of black, green, and white forming a geometric pattern. She has clothing with a question mark. The movement aspect is related to the man-made structure described above. Either it moves upward or an upward movement is required to access this structure. Elements of land can be viewed from the above described structure. The views seem expansive and include flat land forms, but some vegetation. The sky is not clear, either hazy or smoggy. The water can be seen in the distance. Clouds may be prominent in the sky. Yelling sound indicate people at target. And her AOLs are clouds, piano keys, slinky, sounds, rock, stone, quartz, elevator, and ride at an amusement park. And Terry, if your mic it worked when we first came today. If you wanted to have anything that you'd like to comment on your session. It was a great session.
Fantastic session. Just one comment here. Evaluate each one of your AOLs or stray cats before you put it into your summary, because the entire summary will be scored. And so if all you're doing is just listing your AOLs and things, that doesn't really help. Evaluate them before you put them in.
Good to know, because I thought I was supposed to just list all of them. So,
No,
yeah.
I was messing with Mike's. What are we not listing all of?
The AOLs and the stray cats. No, what goes on your summary page is what you still believe now that you have the good site contact. So just making a list of your stray cats and AOLs, any analyst can go through your session and make their own list if they want them. But if you go through and look at your AOLs and stray cats and you think, I don't know what this means, but I think it ought to go into the summary, that's when you put it in.
Okay. Will do.
Did our talking about the spatial relationship help you at all?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to even do a session next so I can do that.
You're funny.
It's like a toy. It's a new toy.
Yeah. Well, don't forget to get some sleep every now and then because you're busy playing with your new toy.
I know.
Okay. Well, we have one more session with Mojo, and let me see if I can see how he or she labeled it, and get WebEx to let me pull it up. Okay, so I just have to pay attention how it is labeled, and remember it's got a couple of underscores.
Great session, Terry.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we've had some great ones tonight. This has been a lot of fun. And Mojo, just so you know, your mic is ready. If you want to say anything while I'm trying to pull up your session, please feel free. I mean,
I wanted to know that when making a database and marking the session, sometimes I put the wrong description under the wrong category, the wrong gestalt. Is that considered wrong, or it's considered right, or a question mark?
That's considered you being just like everybody else. The thing is that almost every word in the English language has multiple meanings and multiple ways you can take it. And over a period of time, what you'll find is that even if you, in this session, even if you put a descriptor in the wrong place and, you know, in the wrong category, over a period of multiple sessions, it's still going to show your strengths and weaknesses. It's still going to show how dependable you are and all that, because it will even out over multiple sessions. So really, you know, it's good to worry about it, to learn the intricacies of what you mean, but to worry about it for accuracy, don't worry about it. It happens to everybody.
And how does the person feel out what to weed out for the summary?
At the end of the session, if you've been working and you know your own target, and especially if you've had that AI, when you've had the real AI, man, you can just look around and you're going to get the target right. And as you finish up your session, don't just go through it trying to remember what you said. actually, with the knowledge that you have about the target now, start back at phase 2 and, well, take your phase 1 descriptors and write them down as separate paragraphs, the beginning of separate paragraphs. Then for each paragraph, like you say, land, go back starting at phase 2, go through your session and see what descriptors of the land you still agree with. Once you finish that, your next one is water. Okay, go back starting with phase 2, go through your session again and see what descriptors of the water you still believe in. And now some of those descriptors are going to be hidden under other gestalts in the thing. Like you may say the ground, and you say you cue with the land, and you say the land is hard, the land is green, the land has people sounds. Those people sounds are hiding under the heading of land, and so those are going to fall out when you get to describing the biological. So that's what you do, though. You just take each gestalt, go back through your session, and see what you still believe is accurate about that gestalt. And when that happens, your summary will just fall into place all by itself.
Is that a question that I should ask myself? Do I believe that this is still true, like as if it's still in session, or it just should flow out?
In the beginning, you should say, do I still believe this is true? One thing that's going to happen as you do this over multiple sessions is that you can sort of zip through your session, and all of a sudden you'll see something stand out towards you. So you say, I'm interested in the land. And you just zip through your session, and all of a sudden the word hard, black, gritty, these words will pop out at you because you have learned how to see what's relevant. And your subconscious will say, ooh, pay attention to this. And those are the ones that you put into your summary. In the beginning, though, yeah, you have to do the grunge work, and you have to say, go through each perception and say, okay, this describes the land. Do I still believe this about the land? Is it grassy? Yep, I still believe that. Okay, write it into your summary. But very quickly, you get to where you don't have to do that anymore. Things just start standing out to you, and you automatically know to put them into the session. And things that are not true about the target, as you zip through your session, you won't even notice them. So that's something you have to do by experience, and I can explain it to you, but that's going to happen if you do that. But in the beginning, yeah, 2 hands while learning and say, do I still believe this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when in P3, I see some people, the descriptions are very, very resembling the target, the pictures, while some other pictures of P3s are more like more advanced ideograms.
Yeah, all P3 sketches are ideograms. Some people are just more detailed about them than others, and some people make, stick figure sketches and all that, while other people try for detailed accuracy. And the fact is that whichever way you try it, it is an ideogram, and you can touch that ideogram at any certain space, any certain place on there, and find out what's there. What you're actually doing is you're saying, hey, here's this big sketch, but at this one point, that's what I'm making my target now. What is there? And as you do that, you'll start getting all kinds of descriptors about, each and every place on that sketch. That's why you number the places that you touch and you get something. So you say, oh, I get something here. You make a 1. You go down into your session and you say, at point number 1, here's what I'm getting. Then you go back to that sketch, you feel around, and all of a sudden over here, you feel something else. You make that 2. You come down into your session and you say, at point number 2, here's what I get. And what happens is even though the sketch may not get more detailed, the descriptors will start carrying a tremendous amount of detail about the target. Now, some people will go ahead, some people, you there?
Yeah.
It's, yeah, okay.
I know. I'm bringing up this session.
Yeah, some people will do highly detailed. Mel Riley does his sketches with a ruler, trying, draftsman tools, and he will come out. I've seen him come out with building complexes where he has labeled each building, drawn that building as to the number of stories it has, drawn the walkways in between, drawn the trees and the streets beside it to accurate scale, and then gone back to each building, to each floor of each building, and tapped that and told what's on that floor, what's happening on that floor and all that. And so you can, just in stage 3 alone, you can do phenomenal work. The people at SRI like to, brag about the point that they found a nuclear warhead and were accurate to within 50 feet. Everybody in the world was looking for this nuclear warhead, and the remote viewers found it. What they don't tell you is, in order to find it, they only went through phase 3. They didn't do phase 4, 5, 6, any of that. And you can do miracles just in stage 3 alone.
And I find sometimes that when I ask questions, that even in phase 2, I can ask myself any question and usually come up with accuracy. Like I could, is that any different than phase 4, or is that like jumping into phase 4, or how is it working?
No, basically what you're doing is just what you're supposed to be doing. When you get into phase 4, the purpose for phase 4 is to sort of dissect the target. So overall, you've got a location, and in phase 2 and 3, you start identifying the different parts of the location. When you get into phase 4, you say, okay, I found that there's a building. Okay, so you queue under the things column with building, and then that is your brand new target. It's as though you're doing a whole different session, and you get as much information as you can about that building. When you've exhausted that, you go back up into stage 2 and stage 3, and you say, oh, well, I also said there's some water there. So you queue with water in stage 4, and then all of a sudden, that's your brand new target. And you find out all the details you possibly can about the water. And so the main purpose for stage 4 is to dissect the target down into a whole bunch of tiny little targets, and you start getting finer and finer and finer details, down to the point where, I could give you the target of Semipalatinsk, Russia, just the city, and wind up with you describing to me the components of a circuit board that's within one of their computers. And so you can carry stage 4 by dissecting finer and finer. down to where you get just the ultimate detail. And that's generally what stage 4 is used for.
Hey, Lynn, I don't know if you've been scrolling as you're talking. I'm on page 5. There's a phenomenal amount of information he's got down here. Bottom of page 4, he's got an AI and a sketch. Oh, darn it. My thing moved. Then on page 5, by the time he gets to the bottom of page 5, he has a P7, wanted to keep going around this thing, adding more and more, didn't want to stop. Redrawing was flowing very rapidly, drawing itself, but didn't want to destroy writing, and it's cut off as far as the transcript goes. But anyway, I'm just letting you know what I'm seeing here in session while you guys are talking.
Okay.
Ooh, a narrow passageway, type of ring, constricted pressure. He's just getting all kinds of stuff here.
Good.
AI, I'm about 4 feet away looking on it. It makes me feel wasteland vanishing, feel almost like imported here, but it's vacant. It's got some really interesting sketches going on.
I think I'm still kind of lost on the section. I'm on page 17.
Yeah. It jumped, and I've got a touch screen too. My mouse is really sensitive. I have to be careful in WebEx. All I have to do is think about it, and it moves. So like the feedback photo. Who's laughing over there?
You must be psychic or something.
Yeah. Actually, it's really the kind of is the touch screen. So anyway, I mean, he's got. He uses P7 though. He's got P7 next to captain of ship, Gilligan's Island skipper, and sleeveless cold wind shaking in red. Doggone it. Luckily, it goes right back to the same page. It keeps popping back over to the feedback. So anyway, I think he's saying P7 might be stray cats or AOLs. Mojo, what is your understanding of a P7 so we're on the same page?
I understand that a P7 is like something that pops into the mind that is like a voice, or like sometimes a vision that just comes shooting in, or like a song, a line of a song or something. A P7 to me has like a feeling. It's different than an AOL. An AOL would be like a naming or something that I would associate with what I'm writing, and because like when my logic plays in also. But a P7 would be more like a flash.
Okay.
With like a
generally that's a good definition, and you can go with that. The fact is that we've identified 18 different kinds of AOLs and stray cats. We've also defined, I think at last count it was 25 different kinds of P7s. And so, you know, there's nothing simple about this science you've gotten yourself into here. But the summary that you just gave, that's a good one to go with. Yeah, that's
okay.
Another way of putting it is when you get an impression and you say, that didn't come from me, you can pretty well, that's one of the major types of P7s, and you can pretty well label that a P7.
Okay, and then he's got a bigger sketch on page 9, and says it. You know, it's just going on its own. He practically, you know, he's wanting to do words, but the sketch has got to happen. And now he's describing almost everything as P7. So that's why I'm a little confused as to where the perceptions stop and the P7s start. So
the pictures were also coming in like P7s at that point.
hmm.
It was almost like the session took on itself. Like it was like just like something. It was like writing itself through me.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to call that a P7. Yeah.
He is just a writing.
P7s traditionally take a viewer an extremely long time to learn how to identify a true P7 when it happens. But the definition that you're going by, yeah, that's a good definition. It works.
Okay, and then I'm down on page 11, and we're just taking more coordinates, getting regrouped here, and it's just still going on. Here's a great AI. At the top of page 12, the top line is cut off in the scanner. It's right in front of me. Something tall. It makes me feel almost I am part of this organization type of ring. Ambiance of thing. Sorry. Ambiance of like body of water or beach, like field, cool breeze, windy. And he's got a sketch that he's got numbered and the perceptions underneath it. And that's interesting. Broken battlefield at one time or another. With the history of these European places, who knows, you know? I can't believe, you know, when you think about time and everything being so layered, just because, you know, we have that feedback photo might not be the page in time that you landed on, even though you're trying. And I gave up reading out loud. There's just so much stuff here. I hope you guys are going down through this on your own.
Am I supposed to try and cut it shorter?
No. It's
Nope.
your viewer and you're in charge of your session. No, not at all. You do your thing.
This is probably an indelicate question, but who was your trainer?
God. I listened to the DVDs of Ed James, and then I at a friend's house, your DVD with the remote viewing was very, very brief, and then the other a couple of the other discs and the webinars and Prudence, a bunch of DVDs, and then I just like God just guided me through putting together however would flow, however the information would come out right. I tried like a bunch of different things, and I got like my own feel and different. I don't know how to explain it really.
That's no problem. I saw some of Ed's work in here, and I also saw just a mixture of other things, and so that's why I was wondering, because I didn't know of any one trainer who teaches all these different methods and all. So that's all I was wondering. But the format and everything else on a session is a way of organizing things to work, to get your conscious mind, your body, and your subconscious mind easily working together. But no matter what the format is, the final evaluation is what goes in that summary, because if you're right, nobody's going to argue with you at all. And so, that's the main thing. And I'm seeing a lot of good stuff here. So, as far as the standard scientific CRV that was used in the military. This is chaos that would make any soldier throw up his hands and go screaming out of the building. But the fact is that you're getting good information, and that is really the bottom line of this whole thing. I'm seeing organization here, and you know, I don't have a problem with it.
Just so you know, he did lose a lot of his summary with the trying to get it to me, so and scanned and stuff. So I'm sure he had other stuff that he wanted us to look at in his summary that just didn't make it. But I had a feeling when I started pulling this up and you guys were talking after I finally got it. I'm sorry, you have to be very, very precise to share in WebEx insofar as your file name. I finally had to locate your download, rename it, move it to documents. That still didn't work, so I moved it to desktop, and then it would let me pull it up. So anyway, that's why I've just been sharing from my desktop. And that way I don't have to worry who shows up and how they've sent it. I can usually get my hands on it in a hurry, and that way I don't have to worry about labeling and all of that. But anyway, what little I had a chance to look at it, and with all that information coming in, I had a feeling that you were probably self-taught from DVDs and YouTube and so on and so forth. So anyway, how long have you been doing this?
About a year.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you've learned a bang up amount of stuff in a year. As Lynn said, you know, we'd be pulling our hair out, kind of sort of trying to follow you. But just because you don't quite have our lingo down that we're used to specifically, and Lynn knows all the lingo, so of course he's better. But I tell you, that's pretty impressive for somebody who's self-taught for a year.
It absolutely is, yeah.
Wow. I hope you hang out with us some more.
What should I do to make it more easy to follow?
If you go to, I don't know the address of it, it's TKR, 10,000 Roads. The military, well, a very scant copy of the military remote viewer's manual. Now, the remote viewer's manual in the military was never meant to teach remote viewing. It was only meant to hand to visiting senators and congressmen so that they could turn around and hand it to their aide and say, study this so I'll know what's going on. And so it's an extremely scant thing, but it shows you the structure of a CRV session. And then if there's anything you don't understand about that, you know, come back here. That's what we're here for.
Actually, I think Dan Smith's got it on his website, if I can just remember what. I think it's called Remote Viewed.
Yeah, Dan Smith has one too.
Same thing, I think.
Yeah. But the manual is out there. What you've got to understand is the manual was never meant to teach.
Yeah.
It was only meant to brief. And you may find, now that you've had a year of doing it this way, that there are some things doing it your way works better for you than the military way. Hey, go with what works.
Hang on, don't click on this link. But here is Daz. Oh, there, Michael's already beat me to it. Daz's website, and it's got. Look at that Michael go. So there you go. There are manuals, and it's easier to, I don't go to TKR much, so I'm not too sure how fast you can put your hands on it. But anyway.
Same here. I don't.
Yeah, there's not enough time in the day for me to do everything I'd like to do. So anyway, I knew that Daz had them, so there you go. That might be helpful, and yeah, very nice work. Thank you for coming. You're welcome.
By the way, when you go to Daz's site, Daz puts out a magazine called 8 Martinis. I don't know if you know the story behind that term, but he puts out a magazine generally, I think, twice a year, 3 times a year or something. And it's all about remote viewing, and it's always got extremely good articles in it, most of which are good learning articles rather than just, fluff just to be an article. And so they're free. If you have an iPad, and you can go to MagCloud, all of his publications for 8 Martinis are on there. And yeah, there's 8martinis.com. Good. And you can pick up all of the past issues and all that. They're free. You can just download them and have them on your computer to read.
Thank you. And also, when I did a timeline, I think that what I used to travel in time, I used to usually do it in P2s. When I did it this time, I wrote it like in the middle of a phase 4. I put like a timeline this year, 6 months ago, and so forth and so forth. And like I made like columns, almost like that was like my matrix for the P4, and then I was probing that for information.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do it too. One of the helpful hints on timelines is if you go down a timeline or along a timeline in order, you're going to start building a story, and that can also lead you into castle building and, imagination and all. Jump back and forth on the timeline, and don't put the facts together until you write your summary. Then when you write your summary, then you pick up stuff in order down the timeline, and generally what you find out is a pretty good surprise that you didn't expect, because as you were jumping back and forth along the timeline to find details, it was sort of scrambling the information. But when you write your summary and you line those things up, can be actually pretty revealing at times. It's just a little trick of the trade.
Like the key to be jumping around like you wrote in your book.
Yeah, when you're queuing, go to the left of the timeline, feel along that, and find out what you get. Then jump over all the way over to the right side, and then jump back to the middle, and then jump over here to the right, jump back to the left between things that you've already done and all that. What you want to do is keep your conscious mind from making a story. And so you jump back and forth along the timeline and in your queuing, and then don't try to put the facts that you get together until you write your summary. And that's when you write the summary according to things as they go down the timeline. It's just a little helpful hint that lets you get more accurate information.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like throwing yourself off in order to get like that, what's coming in.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
It's almost like trying to throw yourself off in order to make like an opening for information to come in.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's throwing your conscious mind off so that your subconscious mind can go ahead and be in charge of the section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody, with all the starts and stops tonight, it is 10:43, and I really think I need to wrap this up so I can get a couple things done. And I'm glad everybody could come. This was a really good learning night, and I will try to get this recording up on YouTube ASAP, and we'll be back in a couple more weeks for our next target of the week, and then we'll be taking a break until the next, till 2014. Just so you know, I talked to Lynn about it last night. I'm going to try and work up something a little different instead of just viewing targets every 2 weeks. Maybe work something up so that we view one target a month, but we have the second session of that month focused on cues and move commands and some exercises like that. So that's in the works, and I will get those scheduled sometime before the first of the year, obviously, but I have a little time where I can work on that for you. So anything that you would ever like to do as a request, we will try to accommodate. However, I do need to get it so that I don't already have targets chosen with coordinates for dates. So ideas for sessions or what you'd like to see or try or do, always welcome. You can email me at teresafrisch@AOL.com, and keep those questions coming. Lynn, thank you so much for being here, because it is such an enriching experience when you share. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for doing this. This is head and shoulders above, you know, the call of duty on this, and you're doing a lot of good for the community. So thank you for doing this.
I hope it helps, because we have people here who don't have the opportunity to work with trainers. Having us together gives us the chance to reach out through recordings, even though they are not award-winning. People who are out there doing this on their own have a chance to be exposed and are able to learn, and that's my whole point. So I know before I found remote viewing, I had lots of questions about weird things that happened, about time and space issues, and I thought, you know, there's has to be some answers somewhere. And so the problem is people have a hard time finding answers because of keywords and not knowing what to cue in and so on and so forth. But I'm positive, I'm getting feedback frequently that there are people listening and learning, and it is helping. So for that, every bit of it is worth it. So thanks everyone for being here. If you weren't here and sharing your sessions, we wouldn't have anything to discuss or share. And all of your input helps a lot more people than you have any idea. So look for that next issue of 8 Martinis coming out, I think, from Daz in the next probably 2 weeks. And we'll see you all back here 2 weeks from tonight. Take care.
As they say in Texas, night, y'all. Y'all come back now. Y'all here?
Good night.
Good night.
Night.